Hello, 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 and you are welcome. Welcome to this session of the day. My name is Wendy Logan, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parents Academy. And if you're here, please let me know that you're here. Even before we got here, we saw that we had quite a number of people who joined here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Please see and hear us. We're here. You can see that 9 people already are watching. All right. We can already see people watching live. Yes. And we're going to try to see how we can connect on other platforms. But for now, this platform that is on. So you're welcome here. And today, the conversation is on 5 mistakes that we're making in raising boys. Yesterday was International Day of the Boy Child. Who remember child? Who remembered to get a gift for their boy child? Let me see your comment in the comment section. Who remembered to get a gift for their boy child? Yes, we are live. Okay. It was International Day of the Boy Child yesterday. And did any of you remember to get a gift for a child? Because we're constantly celebrating the girls, but we're not celebrating All right, great. I hope that you can see me and you can hear me. All right, thank you. I got a bit cut off. Oh, I can see the comment section buzzing. 40 people already watching live. Somebody said, I got him biscuits. Oh my goodness. Yes, I did. I got a gift for my boy child. Who else remembered to buy a gift for their boy child? Who else? I got him a towel. I can see that it's Yadas that is saying this thing. All right. It's inner circle parents that are saying I got him a gift. All right. So invite your friends, your people that you know from all over, because this is going to be that conversation that you don't want to miss. All right. So it's all about how we're raising our male children today. Let us try and see if we can connect anywhere else and be here. All righty. So yes, if you got a gift for your male child, yesterday was International Day of the Boy Child, and we are creating a narrative. I sat in a conference on Saturday for boys only in Abuja, and I heard boys saying, "Why is it that everything is about girls? Even our parents, my own parents think that we have it all figured out." You don't need anything. Oh, provided that you're a boy and all of that and all of that. I want you to understand that these children are also on a journey, all right? Including the male children. They are also on a journey. Ebuka for Boys is here. That event was put together by Ebuka. And these children shared a lot of concerns. And that's one of the reasons why we are doing this topic. But beyond that reason is that yesterday I found myself called to deliver a paper on the boy child mandate in Lagos. All right. So as you're looking at me, I've been in and out of Lagos and I'm back to Abuja again. And One of the things that struck me during that conversation yesterday were the things that the Controller General of Prisons shared, the Deputy Commissioner of Police in Lagos shared, and some other stakeholders who actually are in the place of correctional systems on how we are raising the boys. Invite your friends, your family, everybody, because this is a conversation that we must have. We have to have this conversation today, even though what we are doing in the month, is about killing and all of that. So this conversation is so valid. And I asked a question at the beginning of this session. I said, how many of us actually got a gift for our male children yesterday? If it's International Birthday of the Girl's Child, everybody is just, jumping. And thank you so much, Ebuka, for the work that you do in this space. We can't even thank you enough in the space of helping boys become more. And today, we're going to be sharing with you, all the things that, we think, right, that is actually the problem when it comes to raising boys. I was so happy yesterday and excited, right? When we were sharing, and more than 4 or 5 stakeholders agreed to the conversation of the day that we can no longer do what works for everybody. That the disaster we currently are having is because everybody is doing whatever it is that works for them. So we have this do whatever works for you. Do whatever works for you doesn't work. There is a template. And right at that meeting, we made a lot of proposals, and there is a template. There is a template to raising children who are different. If you want to do it anyhow, oh yes, trust me, it is okay to do it anyhow. But if you want to do it differently, then we need to actually begin to look at what we must do, rather than the things that, in quotes, that we're just doing and doing anyhow. And for the past how many generations now, we've been doing whatever works. I gave an example when I was sharing at the Lagos State House yesterday, and I gave an example of 2 prominent families in the American system that parenting made a difference in their generations. And their generation was actually studied in the past 100 years. The difference that were found in these 2 generations was very obvious, that our problem is parenting. The problem we have today is how we're raising people. That's one of the major problems we have. It's not just about the government. Many of the times I tell and I say that the society is the product of the family. The society is not, it's not an, it's a product of the family. It's a product of the family. Now the question is, what exactly are we doing? I have said over and again Whew, thank you so much. We apologize again and again for actually having to go through all of this, and we're so sorry. All right. And since we don't produce the network in this part of the world, we we just needed to actually work with that. So sorry, it's actually streaming. No, it's the same stream, and I hope that we are live and we can hear. All right. Thank you so much. We experienced some network glitch, but I guess that we are back here and we are live here. All right. So let us go. Somebody said our country syndrome has kicked in. Bad network and power challenges. No, it wasn't power. It was actually bad network. Okay. Power, we've been able to at least sort that one out to be able to have constant power when we are doing this. But it was network. We couldn't control that. We had two networks here, and yet we're actually having a lot of things, a lot of it, for fluctuating. Thank you so much for being patient. All right. All right. You don't need to send again, Augustine. Thank you so much for being patient. And we are back here now. Okay. So I guess that the system on our YouTube is actually a better system. So if you're watching me on Facebook, you might want to actually find the YouTube link. Augustine, please send that, all right, on the community so that people can join in. I think the YouTube is more reliable. All right. So I said there are so many things that parents are doing that is actually impacting negatively on the children. And today we're going to be concentrating on the male child. And I said that we are not looking to raise perfect people. We are looking to raise people who can thrive. And I've said over and again that parenting does not need you to be perfect. Parenting is not about perfection. Parents need to be trained. So we're not asking you to become perfect. We're asking you to be trained. And at that event yesterday, one of the cases that I made was that you need training. And everybody, the stakeholders who were at that meeting in Lagos yesterday, that's the only way we can actually make a difference. All right? That's the only way we can actually make a difference, via training. We just realized that there were a lot of parents dealing with a lot of things that they don't understand. There are a lot of knowledge gap. We saw myself and all of the other keynote speakers and the panelists saw very huge gaps, all right, on a lot of the things that we are doing. And my proposal that I've been screaming every now and then is that we need to learn how to become parents. What you saw, some of our parents were actually visibly traumatized. And many of them, that's why we're actually launching the course called Healing from Parenting Hurt. The trauma our parents went through were actually just to us, and we're raised with some of these traumas. So we need to actually pay attention to how we're raising people today. But today, we are concentrating on raising the boys because yesterday was International Day of the Boy Child. Parents make mistakes. All right. Okay. So we're in Nigeria, so forgive us. Okay. So like I was saying, like I was talking about, I said today we're going to be looking at the boy. And many of the times we make mistakes either by hurried schedules, by stress, by inherent fallibility, or most importantly, by lack of knowledge. I have seen a lot of mistakes made by lack of knowledge, and that has actually hindered a lot of the boys. Now, there's this thing that's happening today where we're currently having boys or men who are obviously irresponsible. So women are now fighting. All right, women are fighting. Women are, saying, "Oh, my husband is not doing this. Oh, my husband is not doing that," and it is the resultant effect of how we were raised. So when people come to me and they pull up this narrative, but we turned out okay after everything, it's many of the times I laugh. When we look at the society and look at the kind of men that we have raised today, I don't think we're pleased with it. If you are, I am not pleased with it. So you need to understand that when it comes to raising people, there's something that we need to do and that we must do. And if we're making mistakes, some of you saying, "Oh, whatever it is that they're saying, all these the mistakes that our parents made, didn't we all turn out okay?" No, we didn't. That's why we're having men killing their wives over and again. That's why we're having many men who are irresponsible today. And unfortunately, we're raising our children the same way. The other day, I wrote a post and I said that I'm not going to give my daughter to an idiot because it's been the way of life over the past years. I remember that when we were growing up, when something happens, a boy is irresponsible, gets a point, they say, "Let's go and look for a good girl." And then they go and bring a good girl and marry off to this a responsible girl will be married to this irresponsible boy. And then we say things like marriage will change the man. Like how? A man who is totally unskilled. And then you marry off, in quotes, a good girl to the man. A man will finish doing whatever it is that he wants to do. He will say, "I want a young girl that is a virgin." And we encourage those things. We actually do encourage those things. Parents. So I'm actually calling you out. Our parents, it was in our time, I don't know when you grew up. It was in our time that parents would look at a boy child and say, "Hey, he's a boy, just leave him." A boy is actually being irresponsible. We say, "Oh, just leave him, he's just a boy." As if irresponsibility is actually fitted into being a boy. So today, we're going to be looking at some of those mistakes that you've actually be making that you can actually correct today. I saw an interesting video. I was sharing with the parents in the inner circle today. That video was on husbands in training. A mother who trained her 3 sons as husbands for the past 25 years. And the children were now testifying how they have become amazing husbands because their mother took it upon herself to actually train. Because the mother saw that the father didn't have the supposed training that he was supposed to have. In fact, in that story, I heard that the father eventually joined the training because the father felt, "I wasn't trained. I didn't get this kind of training." Men should be raised. Healthy men don't just happen. They come from healthy homes. Let me say that again. Healthy men don't just happen. They come from healthy homes. Number one mistake that many parents are making raising boys is mothers are expecting their sons to think like them. Mothers, the first call out is for you. Mothers are expecting their sons to think like them. Your son will not think like you because boys' mind is actually wired. Boys' mind is actually wired differently from how girls think. It's not you. It's not something you need to fight. It is something that is valid. It is something that is valid. Boys are not women. So many of us want to raise our sons with all of that force and all of that. I am not saying yesterday when I was delivering that paper, I turned to the men. There was the Oba of Lagos in that setting. There were controller general, there was a camp president, there was, just think of it. Who is who in that society? And I turned to them and I said to them that because women don't know how men think, that is why you must be part of raising the boys. You can't give what you don't have. It's important. So he will come with a problem, and he will come with a problem wired differently from how you think it. A boy is not going to think the same way you think. Sometimes I'm talking to my son, who is 12, and my son looks at me and says to me, Mom, you're a woman, you're not going to get it. And you know the truth, no matter how angry you want to be at that time, that's the truth. Because you're not wired. You're not wired to actually have all of those, that kind of understanding. At that point, boys want role models who they can look up to. I know what everybody say. Oh, I can be a single mother. Oh, I can. It's fine. If you are, find a place to fill in that gap. So when a boy comes with you, with the problems, he's going to come from a different angle. And the moment he hits adolescence, he will become even more guarded. There are many things he will not share with you. Boys are not women. You can't raise them to think like you. It is not possible. It is not possible. Boys think differently. This is one of the mistakes that parents are making, mothers especially. And this thing is actually going to ruin your child. And that's why we're feminizing a lot of these men. They are men, and they are not women. Healthy men don't just happen, they come from healthy homes. So when your son is talking to you, remember that how you're going to be internalizing what he's saying, it's not the same way that your child is going to be internalizing it. Your boys need male role models. If you don't have a father, if you don't have a husband, if you don't have the boy doesn't have a father, please, I am begging you, get a system that will help that child actually be able to connect with somebody who can think like them. Men must be part of raising their sons because boys think differently. So I'm calling mothers out who think that the boys would think like them. And I'm calling you men out who think that, oh, I don't want to be involved, in raising my son. If you are like that, then of course, that means you're going to actually raise a son who is going to trouble. Now, when I was listening to the Controller General of prisons yesterday, he said something that struck me. He said, men, stand up. He said, all the children that I've seen in the correctional system are all children who are being raised by, many of them, that's how he put it, who are being raised by women alone. It struck me. He said, a huge percentage of the children in correctional system are children being raised by women alone. He said, even when they get into the correctional system, even when all of these things start happening, it's still the mother that will carry a bag and come, bring food. It's still the mothers that will come and be, saying, hey, how is my son doing? He said, you never see the fathers. In fact, that thing blew my mind. It's been said over and again that a child who does not have an involved father is more prone to actually going to prison than the one who does. And I'm not talking about fathers who sit around. I'm talking about fathers who are involved. It's not just sitting on there and say you are living there. Some fathers are available, but they are worse than not being available. Because their children do not even know, whether they are there or not. So, men, if you're not involved, stand up today to this conversation. Your wife cannot. If you have a son, especially, even if you have a daughter, there's a statistic that actually says that children who are confident, girls who are confident, are girls, majority of them are girls who had their fathers involved. There are girls who have their fathers involved. So you have a role to play in ability to actually raise the confidence. All right? In ability to actually raise the confidence of your girl child, you need to be involved. The ability to actually raise a boy child who becomes a healthy man, you need to be involved. And not just involved. And not just involved. You need to do the work. You need to play the part. Somebody's already asking me, what are fathers who need to be away? See, many of the times, in fact, when the DPO was talking, he said a lot of the fathers come into those places and talk about, how they don't have time and all of that. He said, and I will quote him, he said, 80 to 90% of the time, the children in the police station have their fathers not involved in parenting. You need to make a choice. And he said, I know that we all need to chase money. I know that we all need to go everywhere and all of that. But we need to also pay attention to what is important for time. And then beyond getting involved as fathers, you need to learn what it means. What it means to actually parent. Because a lot of some fathers are involved, but hey, they don't even know what to do. So what you know is very important. Very, very key. And the truth of the matter is that an uninvolved father can do a lot. A father who is traveling and all of that can actually do a lot. All right, but that's not what this conversation is about. I tell the parents in the inner circle, I remember when we read the book Raising Boys. And we're talking about the makeup of the boy and all of that. You see all these arguments, whether girls are equal to boys and all of that. You must understand how to raise a male child. And you must understand how to raise a female child. It's very key. It's very important. Number 2, not allowing your boy child take responsibility. Not allowing your boy child take responsibility. You have these boys will be boys mantra. Something happens to you, you say, boys will be boys. They are just boys. Oh, you enter a boys' room. Why is a boys' room scattered? They say they are boys. You just leave them. They are just boys. That's why we have more irresponsible men today than ever. Men who can pick after themselves. Men who are such a burden to the women. You're married, but the husband is a burden to you. And then they tell you something like you should go and be praying. Prayer cannot even solve it because these are men who are unskilled, who are irresponsible. If you do not allow your boy child take responsibility, you are making an error. Because at the heart of being a man is responsibility. At the heart of being a man is responsibility. Let your boy child take up cooking. Let them wash. Let them clean. Let them be responsible. A boy child who actually does simple chores at home, you will see it. It's going to raise his responsibility quotient. That's what we'll call it. I was teaching the parents in the inner circle level 3 recently, and I was talking about the responsibility quotient. A lot of men have zero responsibility quotient. That's why you see a man lose his job. He sits down in the house and he's pressing TV. Come on. Zero responsibility quotient. Because that's the only thing. We're raising our children. All we're telling them is go to school, pass, get a job. Zero responsibility. Zero responsibility. It's actually something that we need to begin to think of. A man who does not have a responsibility will lose his job and do nothing. There are people who understand how to respond. It's a training, it's a skill. Allow your sons to take responsibility. Let them make their bed. Let them cook for themselves. Stop telling your son. Stop telling your daughter, come and cook for the family. The moment my daughter is in the kitchen, my son has arrived. My daughter is not your slave. How? You need to teach your sons how to be responsible. Stop raising irresponsible boys. The more irresponsibility, because you can't be a man without responsibility. You just cannot. Let your sons stand up to this conversation. Let them teach them. And it's not by you jumping up and down. It's by teaching them exactly what to do. When my son wakes up in the morning and see that, maybe there's no water, for instance, if there's no water, he knows that he will go out and maybe step out and go and make sure that, is the water pumped? Why is there no water running into the house? What? He doesn't need me to tell him. Why is there no water, in the bathroom and all of that? He's not going to start calling the sister. Oh, there's no food. Oh, there's no water. What's that? Teach them responsibility. Stop raising irresponsible boys. You're killing the society. The next one is not teaching your sons boundaries and respect by teaching them emotions control, by teaching them sex education, by being explicit about consent. You see why I told you that you need a male role model for your sons? The reason is simple. There are conversations that your son would need to actually connect with when a man is teaching it. Somebody shared something on social media recently, and the person said, I was tagged on that conversation. And I said, can you please help me as a woman? Can you please help me with all of the things I need to teach my children on sex education? Somebody now tagged me and said, oh, contact Coach Wendy. She has materials that can help you and all of that. And then somebody came in that post and said, you need to get a male figure involved. You can't really teach sex conversations practically in the way that you should, teach it. The girl went haywire. What do you mean? The mobs came for the guy. I smiled. You need to be involved as a man to actually teach your children, your sons, about boundaries and respect. One of the reasons why we are actually battling with rape issues, with things like boys actually knowing when a girl says no, is because men are not teaching it. It's not being modeled. So their mothers are actually teaching, they're actually teaching whatever it is. And you can't blame the mothers really. When you don't, as a man, take charge, the mother rises to the occasion. But dear mothers, you need to actually do anything to get your spouses involved, or you get a mentor involved. Ebuka is here, he mentors boys. I know a lot of men whose gap has he needed to fill it. I told the story about a woman who has been training her children, husbands in training. She said when she needed to bring in mentors, she did on the subject matters that she couldn't deal with. We need to get this thing. Don't get it twisted. There are templates to these things. Don't say, oh, whatever it is. After all, my father taught me. I know how to do this boundary. A lot of us have problem with boundaries. Many of us have problem with boundaries. That is one mistake that we make. The next one is not allowing your boys to do dangerous things carefully. At the core of being a man is the ability to actually try out things, fail at it, and become more confident about it. I've been shouting these things. You see the society or the group of, I don't want my children to suffer. All right? I don't want my children to suffer. All of those things that they do for all these things that they did for my children, I don't what they did for me. I don't really want them to suffer. I used to wake up in the morning. And what parents of this century call suffer is normal responsibility. If your children are actually, your boys are actually going to thrive, then they need to be able to try things. See, the world does not revolve around your home. The world does not revolve in your bedroom. If you want, say, oh, they are carrying people. Oh, the lion is outside. Whatever it is that you want to say, you will end up raising a boy who cannot thrive. I was listening to the wife of the deputy governor yesterday of Lagos State, and she said that they went to actually register their children at one of those private schools. And that parents woke up, everybody with their money. And they were all saying, please, we don't want our children to go to the polytechnic that is beside there. Please, can you not allow my children go out anywhere? I don't want them outside, the house, outside the school. She said, She said she was like this. She said, university student. As in, she said she had to pinch herself. Am I really in the university? And she said she now looked back and started to think. She said, How did they write jam? How did they do? She said, I've seen many people. She was sharing. She said her son went to the jam center alone and came back alone. See, some of the things that we are saying, it's not going to change. Your status will not change it. How much money you have will not change it. What you don't know will not change it. Templates are templates. Principles are principles. I said, he stood up and he said, if your child cannot leave the gates, the confines of this school, to go and mix up with the children in the polytechnic, there's something wrong with the parenting that you have done. You're afraid. You're afraid that your children will mix up with other people. You're afraid that your children will do things outside of your home. Again, the world does not revolve in your home only. Your home is just a fraction of what the world looks like. Even if you take your children outside of Nigeria to go and live forever, for those of us who can afford it, well, let me tell you, it doesn't stop the principle from being affected. It's the same. It's the same all over. I tell the parents in the inner circle, there's no a lion anywhere. Even if there's lion, instead of you to teach your children how to remain safe out there, you're teaching them how to walk in fear. How do you want to raise a son, a boy, especially for a boy child? I can protect my daughter all I want, but you see, for a boy child, you do that, you kill him. You kill him. Very important for you to note. So last week in the inner circle parents, you remember, we did the safety education. When we were done with that session, parents understood that, all this, fear, this one, that one, the safety education is so key. So instead of instilling fear, go and find out, how do I begin to teach safety? How do I begin to teach safety? Your children will need to be able to walk on the road by themselves. Your sons, they need it. They need to be able to actually do things on their own. They need it. I met a parent, his son is 18. And I started to ask him, no, he's 19. I started to ask him, all right, so does your son drive? Can he go out on his own? Oh, can he say, no, he's just too young, he's 19. Oh, it's just, I don't know what it is. I cannot just let him just be out there. Wahoo, 19. We're raising children that will be 30 and we'll be carrying them like this, boys especially. Continue. We'll be carrying them like this and be feeding them. And unfortunately, by the time you actually even finish, you would have gone and your child will be confused. I have seen a lot of male children today who can't thrive because they were overly overprotected. Do not get me wrong. I do not say that you should not protect your child. I said that you should allow your child to do dangerous things carefully. Stop risking your child. Stop. Your home is only a fraction of the reality. The reality out there is massive. Your child is not going to be, your child is not going to live in your home forever. So that you're protected. Oh, don't go outside and play. Oh, don't mix up with the children of the gate man. Oh, don't. It's okay. It's fine. Just remember that your child will end up actually mixing up. One of the reasons why I do what I do as a parent coach is that I understand that when I finish raising my children, perfect, template, without whatever, they will come out there and mix with the people that have not been raised. You need to understand. Then we tell people, invite people for these sessions and all of that. You just feel, whatever. Oh, your children will still mix. If they don't mix up, they will hire those people as drivers. They will hire them as cooks. They will hire them as gardeners. And they will eventually kill them because they are not trained. They don't understand empathy. They were not given the skills to actually be able to do things. So that run that you're running away from, it will come back to you. It will come back to you. Nobody dies. Oh, I tell the parents in the inner circle, you can't be in the inner circle and you're parenting children anyhow. Wow. You can't. It's not even possible. You just wake up and what my friends and I will call Salahama. You just Salahama everywhere. No, you can't. Because the world does not revolve in your bedroom. The children will go out, and when they do, how do they cope? How do they manage the system? No matter how much fear you put in out there, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. If you want, follow your children about everywhere that they go. It will not change. It will not change the template. It will not change the principles of raising children who can drive. You are only going to be killing your children. I had a parent send me a message a few days ago and said to me, my father had been paying me a salary since I got married for the past 11 years. Now I'm afraid if my father dies, what happened to me? It's okay. That's some of the things that we're talking about. All right. The next one is not allowing your boys go through consequences of their action. I call it the bailout system. Many of us have the bailout system for our boys. Mothers, this is a call out for you. Mothers we are very expert in bailing out our sons. Your son have done something that requires that he's supposed to go through the consequence of his action. You come and say, I've just beaten him. Can you please just leave him? The mother came to a school where the son sodomized the boy and was supposed to be expelled. The mother said to the school, please just leave him. In fact, the father beat him. He had wires all over his body. He's been bleeding and beating him, all sorts of beating. But please just allow him to continue. You rescue your sons. You bail out your sons. Association of Bailout Industry. Stop bailing out your sons from consequences of their action. It starts from little. It starts from, hey, you didn't read. Let me go and meet the auntie in your school, in your primary school. You're going to primary school to go and talk for your son. When a child tells the son that he did something, a child and your son is having an altercation, you find yourself in school the next day. Madam Bailout, you just appear. Why did you say that to my son? Why did you do that to my son? You're constantly on a bailout system. If you bail out your son today, just know that you will continue to bail out your son forever. It's not a curse. I've seen people that have been bailed out. I've seen people that have been bailed out in my own time. They're still being bailed out today. Some of them are in their 50s. I know some of the people around my neighborhood, their parents are still bailing them out. You bail out your son. He goes to school. He has you are inside interpersonal issues. Him and his friend had a problem. He called him, oh, you're stupid, you're no, you come back. Why did this boy talk to my son anyhow? Continue. Because you're going to end up raising a child who is irresponsible, who cannot take charge. Stop bailing out your sons from the consequences of their action. If your son does something, it will be painful to watch your child go through a consequence of their action. Please hold yourself and tell yourself that this is for the good of the things that happen. I shared one time that my son had forgotten his project. These days, we don't want our children to fail. Association of my child cannot fail. I said one day that if my child fails, I'll use it as a story. One of the coaches, the son failed. She came to me to ask me. I said, let your son repeat. When he's done repeating, use it as a learning point and you share with other parents, and it will also help people. It's not perfection. And my son forgot his project at home. And I told him, I said, well, I'm not on a rescue mission, no, because you've been told to have carried this thing since. So eventually, Sarah, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with forgetting it, but that I'm going to now carry the project and start running kitty kitty. Did anybody die? No. I will now go to school and I'll submit it from a meeting and all of that. Some of the things that we call love is not really love. I told my son, I had told him, all right? I had told him that he was actually going to, that is going to happen if he forgets it. And he did. He lost some marks in school. That made him drop in his average. And he was fine. There is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with it. I want to go to school and I'm constantly rescuing a child that should be able to talk for themselves. I'll share with the parents in the inner circle, and I'll share with them details of. It's only in the inner circle you actually hear the details of my own journey, all right? Because I use that adult as examples, but I'll share with them how I have taught my son to be able to actually stand up for himself. One of the reasons why there's a lot of bullying and a lot of children not being able to stand up for themselves, because parents are constantly bailing, bail out funds. You bail out your child in primary school. That's why you are inside common entrance exam hall, jumping all around looking for answers for your sons. You bail them out at WAEC. You go and register them in special centers. You bail them out when you're taking them to school. You bail them out. Bailout system. They don't face any consequence. They fail an exam, you bail them out. I saw boys being bailed out. I saw them growing up. There were boys on my street that their parents bought jump results for. Today, they amounted to nothing. A fool at 40 did not become a fool at 40. He has been a fool at 18. Bailout, you come out, the child wants to start, he's finishing school, he doesn't know what else to do. You go and use your gratuity. All of us, this thing I'm saying, they happened to many people. You're listening to me. Some of it has even happened to your own brothers. You have a lot of brothers that you're bailing out. You take your gratuity, you give them, they start business. Business will collapse. Look for another money, start another business. You're constantly bailing out. You will bail out that boy forever. It's not going to stop. Stop bailing out your sons. And the worst of it is that when you continue to bail out these boys, it actually becomes traumatic eventually. All of this overparenting causes trauma. Part of what we're doing at the Healing from Parenting Hut in the academy is talking about trauma, how to heal from childhood trauma. Some people who registered for that course told me that their own trauma came from overparenting. Overparenting. How do you teach a child to stand up for himself? You need to equip the child. You need to equip your child and teach them skills. All these unskilled parenting systems that we're doing, it's not going to help us. We're all going to arrive at a different destiny and still going to make a mess of the whole society. Stop bailing them out. Stop overparenting them. Let your sons be able to take responsibility. If your son did not read and is going to fail an exam, it is fine. What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Your son needs to write exams twice. Why not? I remember when my younger brother, my dad was a teacher. My younger brother was and when he wrote, I remember when he wrote comment, my father wouldn't even be there. When he wrote comment, I remember our parents were happily trying to pay more model schools those days. My father called my brother had been past the model school. My father said, well, you know that you go to the school that you have passed. All right? Sorry, Facebook community. That you're past. That's what your ability can carry. So sorry about that. All right. We actually had no video, no audio right on our YouTube community. Well, sorry, it went off. Somebody actually said that network has stolen some of our time. If we can actually have this session go a little longer, we're going to try. Oh no, all right, we're going to try. So, like I said, that one of the things that we proposed, at that meeting yesterday for the government, state government of Lagos, was to actually have parents reparent themselves. And the concept, the concept of reparenting yourself starts with a lot of process. You ask the parents in the inner circle in our academy, they will tell you that this reparenting yourself is not a one-day thing. That's why we talk about the inner circle, we talk about the program, because that program helps you see things differently. It helps you be able to start the conversation and be able to actually do things a lot much more better and all of that. So part of we have one more mistake that you make with your boys that we're going to share. So where before we got cut off, we were talking about bailout system. I tell the parents in the inner circle, you cannot bail out your sons. You can't. If there's a problem, a parent reached out to me. Her son had just cheated in the exam hall, and she called me, coach. What do I do? They said there's a penalty. I said she will go through the penalty and he'll be fine. All right, that you go through the penalty and you'll be fine. All right, and the girl went through it, and yet a few months later, the girl said, "Now I understand why that was wrong." Okay, so you need to understand. Somebody said, "Please don't stop. I'm enjoying it as well." It's like well-made buffet. If you want to enjoy one of more of the talks, Semirad, come into the inner circle. All right. So you need to begin to reparent yourself. All right. So the last one is overindulging your sons. That's one of the mistakes that we make. Overindulging your sons. You two parents, can you see me? Can you hear me? Let me see your comments. Overindulging your sons. What you end up doing is that you end up giving them entitlement. And unfortunately, entitlement, your sons become entitled. They will always end up believing that acquisitions lead to happiness. And of course, this actually sets them up for chasing the never satisfying carrot, and it can result to addictions, compulsions. That's what happens. Overindulging your son. They just become entitled. You keep overindulging them. All right? You keep telling them, oh, no, I don't want my child to do this. Oh, no. The child wants it. A child is on a system. Your children are watching TV from morning till night. Watching TV from morning till night. And sometimes I'm wondering, are you guys kidding? You've indulged your children and you want them to become better eventually. How? We are asking these children to actually, do things that is not feasible, things that they don't have skills, things that we have not raised them to actually be able to deliver on. How do we do this? How do you do this? Your children are so overindulged. You indulge them with screen, you indulge them with games, you indulge them with foolish choices, you indulge them with everything. Because according to you, the way I suffered when I was growing up, I don't want my children not to have everything. You want your children to have everything that they want. I didn't say need, want. Want. And every one of the time, that has a ripple effect. These things I'm sharing with you does not know, just like when the guy who was talking about addiction yesterday, drug addiction yesterday, at the event that I spoke at in government house, and he said addiction does not know your status. It does not know where you're from. It does not know who you are. It doesn't know anything. You see, when a child becomes entitled, I've seen poor children who have become entitled, extremely entitled. Their poor parents are struggling, something they're so entitled. You raise children who lack honor, because everything you think about is, oh, obey me, obey this, obey that, obey that. Obedience is not a goal. Obedience is not the goal. The goal is honor. Honor is actually a higher calling. How many of us even understand how to raise children who are honorable, not just children who are obeying? See, what we call obedience, we Teach it from the place of control. Honor means that your child will look at you and not do that thing, not just because you're right or wrong, but because you're being honored. They're two different things. So the goal is not, if my children are well behaved, they can, even when you are wrong. So honor plays a different, role in all of this conversation. Time won't permit me to teach you about how to raise children who are more honorable than children who just obey. I'm writing a book called Raising Children Who Honor, Not Just Obey. Raising children who honor, not just obey. When you raise children who just obey, you might actually be raising idiots. In quote. Yes. So we're talking about children who can think and who understand the place that honor plays. We have a complete whole full course on raising children to understand honor. Honor as a skill. It's a skill that you empower your children with. It's not just, we know parenting is not just talk. Parenting is not just doing what it is that you have seen that was done. Parenting comes with skills. The question you want to ask yourself today is, how much skills do I have to be able to deliver on what it is that I've been asked for? Yesterday, I postulated and I said to the parents and the stakeholders who were at that meeting, and I said, until we learn how to parent, nothing changes. Because so many of us don't even know how to parent. And effective parenting is effective parenting anywhere. I've spoken on a stage in the US. I've listened to people speak from other continents on that stage. It's the same thing. The templates are the same. Your methodology of being able to deliver those principles might differ, but the templates are the same. Don't kid yourself. Stop saying this, whatever works for you, do in your family. There are principles. There are principles that we need to follow until we learn how to parent. You see all these Nigeria, we need to raise people differently. I listened to all of the people who are in the correctional system, and I saw exactly why boys are being raised the way they are. A lot of the boys are complaining. Our parents just think we just know it. Nobody's actually training us. A boy said it to me. Nobody is training us. They just think we're supposed to know. You are asking the children to deliver on the standards you cannot even deliver on. And yet you're blaming the children. If you fail as a parent, I told the parents who were watching me yesterday. In fact, I remember that the Oba of Lagos was like, yes, if you fail as a parent, you have failed at the responsibility. If you have 5 children and one fails, the child will not be held responsible. No matter how you want to argue this point, you are responsible. So if you want, continue saying, whatever it is I want to do, I just want to do what I want to do. Parenting has, there are things that you must learn to do. There are things that you must learn to do. Please, let us remember that these children, we're going to be accountable. I usually tell the parents in the inner circle that you're going to be accountable because you're a co-creator with God. That's who you are as a parent. You're a co-creator. Stop giving excuses. Stand up to the responsibility. And I say again, trauma is one of the things that snatches us from a lot of these things. Trauma, most of us are just living out the trauma of how we were raised. That's why we opened the course, Healing from Parent-Childhood Trauma, and you can actually enroll for it now. All you need to do is just put course in the comment section and you see detail, or reach out to our team. All right, Augustine, if you could send this, I'll pin it on this post and you'll be able to register. But importantly, if you also want to be part of the Inner Circle program, the next cohort starts on the 1st of December 2022. Okay, and the moment we have 500, almost 500 parents right on the wait list. The moment we have that complete, we will shut it down because we can't take everybody. more than ever before, I told the parents in the inner circle this morning that more than ever before, this is the time that we need to actually learn parenting. This is the time. And when some of those statistics were reeled out in that meeting yesterday, it was obvious. It was obvious that there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that we are not doing okay, and that if we do them, well, in fact, one of the DPOs actually said in that meeting that many of the children who get locked up over and again are children who are left with their grandmother. In fact, the statistics are mind blowing. Mind blowing. I said the parents don't want to learn nothing. You need to stand up to learn differently. You're going to be held accountable for the person you're raising. You can raise a child who is obedient yet foolish. You can raise a child who is obedient yet foolish. So telling me that your sons are going to school, they are first in class, you're now using your children as trophies. Are your children trophies? A child who is supposed to be skilled to be able to stand up for themselves cannot. Because all you are interested in is, oh, my child is in this Ivy League. Oh, my child is this, Please, don't get me wrong. All of those things are good. They're amazing. But the truth of the matter is that we must balance this conversation. We must balance this conversation. There are things that you must learn. And the time to learn it now. You either learn it. The CAN president stood up in that meeting yesterday and he said something that was so instructive. He said when he had failed an exam, his father called him and he said to him, he said, you are born to lead. Is either you stand up to leadership or you follow. And if you do not want to follow, you get out of the line. You get out of the line. So I'm also saying this to parents. You have actually been given the mandate to parent. Is either you parent and do it well, or you get out of the line. It is a responsibility. We have chosen a responsibility. Knowledge is power. It changes everything. Quit the argument of whether you need to learn parenting or not. You must learn parenting to do it well in this century. It's not whether you need to. I'm telling you that it has become a prerequisite. It's no longer something that you're asking whether you should or you shouldn't. No, we're no longer saying you should or shouldn't. No, we're telling you that is a requirement. We're telling you that's a requirement. And one of the things that we've been able to do is to set a system. Set a system. Someone said to me yesterday after delivering the paper, "Oh, you're a blessing to our generation." And I said to the person, I knew already. I didn't need a validation. But for us to even become a blessing to our generation, every one of us is a blessing to our generation. Raising one child differently can actually change the tides of things. You can raise a champion, one child, differently. And I believe that parenting is the problem that we actually need to solve. I shout out to the parents in the inner circle. What the parents in the inner circle have learned, the truth of the matter is that you can't find it anywhere. And they are not on the same pedestal with you. That's the truth. And when a parent in the inner circle is listening to this same session you're listening to, the interpretation of this session is different. It's not the same. That's what knowledge does for you. That's where knowledge keeps you. In the recent times where we've been thinking of opening our courses only to the parents in the inner circle, because that's the people that it actually makes impact for. The impact is so solid, so solid. It's very, very, very important that we actually stand up to this conversation today. I am so happy and excited that the stakeholders in our society, the churches, the government, everybody's beginning to stand up to see how relevant parenting is. Everybody has gone everywhere, tried everything. And we're back to the conversation of how people are being raised. That's the conversation of the day. That's the conversation of the day. How are we raising people? I remember during the NSAT riot, I saw someone holding a placard that said, "We are the monsters that you have created." Many of the things we say is wrong with Nigeria is made in Nigeria. They are not made outside of Nigeria. They are made in the homes, because I often say that the society is a product of the home. If you raise a child, a son especially, who is irresponsible, you kill a whole nation, because that son is eventually going to become a nation. The son will marry to produce children. He will eventually become a nation. Proper child parenting is what will change the narrative that we're having today. Get into the academy, learn today. There's nothing, there's no other way. Stop all this, running helter skelter and all of that. There is no other way. The only way is to learn. That was one of my biggest takeaways yesterday from that conversation. The only way is to learn. No matter how much we want to cry, or we want to scream, or the only way really is to learn. That's the only way we can change the narrative. If not, we're going to be stuck. We're going to be stuck with everything, the same and one thing that we're seeing today. Thank you so much for, joining me. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who are asking how they can join the inner circle, you can book a slot and join the wait list now. You're not joining until the end of the year, the 1st December 2022. But if you don't book now, you might not have access to it. I can assure you. The way it's going, we will not be able, we are going to be overwhelmed with the numbers. Already, the people who have booked are almost 500 plus parents currently. So as soon as the slots are gone, we shut it down. All right, we shut it down. That's the only way we need to do, is to learn, is to read, is to do things differently. If you are I call myself a nation builder. And part of my way of building a nation is actually to change the narrative of the way we are parented, and also to parent my own children differently, because they are going to become a nation tomorrow. And the question will be, if in the next 100 years, your lineage is being traced, like what I actually shared with the parents in the session yesterday, or the stakeholders, if we trace your generation 100 years back from today, what would they find? A generation in America was traced. One particular family found that they had prostitutes, people were in prison and all sorts. Another generation found that they had produced a vice president, they had senators, they had lecturers, they had pastors. The difference is clear. The difference is clear. Somebody said, "Thank you so much." Chidima said, "Thank you. I'm not surprised the impact you're making back in secondary school. You were very serious and a good speaker and a writer as well. Your smartness is still on, more anointing. I tell you that a fool at 40 was a fool at 18. Chidima, thank you so much for those kind words. I really do appreciate them. I really do appreciate them. Somebody's saying, how do you teach boys to stand up for themselves? You need to begin to teach them skills first. A skilled child, that's the first place you need to come from. I would recommend that you get our guide called the Blue Prevention Guide. For that parent that is asking me, get into our store, get into Amazon and get it, and then start the this thing from there. Thank you again and again. Chidima was my classmate in secondary school, by the way. So of course, she knows me and they know where I'm coming from. Yes. So it's not, you don't really just change automatically. I usually tell people whatever it is, how it is that you're coming from. So the child you're raising now, whatever it is, the trajectory that they're taking now is the trajectory they will take as adults. All right. So they won't wake up at 40 and become fools. They would have been fools at 14 and 18 before they now became fools at 40. Do not raise a foolish virgin. I'm sure the parents in the inner circle understand that. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I really do appreciate every one of you for showing up. All right. At what age can I allow my son to learn how to drive? At the age that is stipulated in the country where you live. All right. Whatever age that is stipulated in the country where you live, that's the age, and it's fine. All right. So you can start teaching your son how to drive. So that's part of the responsibility. And for those of us who are so afraid, I usually say that cars have accidents every day, but yet we are all driving every day. How come we have not packed our cars and we're all afraid and all of that? With the fear and parent with knowledge. Knowledge is actually the passport to raising children who are different. Thank you so much. That's why schools need to update the yardstick to grade excellence. I agree with you. I agree with you, Christopher. Very, very important. And in Nigeria, driving is 18 years, man. So until your child is 18, your child cannot get a license. So your child will need to start driving at 18. Okay. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything that you do. We look forward to seeing you at um look forward to seeing you at the trauma healing from parenting trauma class. It will be an awesome place for you to learn how to start off this journey. Is it possible to teach 1 year old to become? Yes, it is very possible, Anna. There are skills to these things. It's very possible to teach a child calmness. Let me end with this story as we begin to round up. All right, let me just end with this story before I now go. I was at the airport for such a long time. Got into Lagos at about 2 to 3 a.m. And while in the airport, I saw a lot of people exhibit, different kind of things, scream and all of that. I'm sharing to somebody that is calm. I saw a particular young child who wasn't screaming, crying, he was just so calm. There was something different about the way even his parents were all calm. It was interesting to watch. This child should be less than one. All right. There's something about parenting children differently. It just shows. All right. Thank you so much. You can always listen to the replay. All right. And also have all of the things I need to do. If you want to register for any of those courses, please check out the number and reach out to us. And also for the inner circle, I didn't see Augustine. Can you send the details of the course healing from parenting this in on Telegram? If you're following us on Telegram, you see all the details now. Or you can also send on our Facebook community. Thank you for joining me and do have an amazing day.